Investigators say Jake Patterson bought a mask at this Walmart as he started planning the crime. The night he took Jamie, he shaved his head and showered to avoid leaving DNA. He decided a 12-gauge shotgun would be the best choice of shell and weapon to kill someone versus a rifle. Just before 1 in the morning on October 15th, police say he cut the engine to his car and coasted into the Kloss driveway. The family's dog, Molly, woke them up barking. Investigators say James Kloss went to the front door. He apparently thought Patterson was a police officer and asked to see his badge. Patterson shot him through the door, then shot the door to get into the house. Inside, police say he found the bathroom door shut and barricaded. He estimated that it took him anywhere from 10 to 15 hits with his shoulder before it burst open. Denise Kloss was hiding with Jamie in the bathtub. She was on the phone with 911 and had her daughter in what Patterson described as a bear hug. Detectives say Patterson told her to hang up the phone and tape Jamie's mouth. After taping Jamie's hands and feet, prosecutors say he shot her mom and dragged Jamie to his car. Just 20 seconds down the road, he pulled to the side to let emergency responders pass on their way to the Kloss home. Jamie was in the trunk. The shotgun was on the front seat. He told investigators he would have fired at police if they stopped him. Jamie's 88-day nightmare was just beginning. Patterson drove her 2 hours to his home. Only there did he learn her name and the names of her parents from watching news reports. Patterson made her give him her clothes. He told her he couldn't have evidence and burned the clothes in a fireplace. During Kloss's captivity, Patterson would have visitors to the house, including his father. He told police he hid her under a bed and used plastic totes and weights to make sure she couldn't be seen and couldn't escape. When he would go somewhere, he told her she better not leave and told her bad things would happen to her if she tried. Last Thursday, while he was gone, Jamie pushed the barriers out of the way. Police say she put on a pair of Patterson shoes and walked outside. There, she found a neighbor walking her dog and was finally safe.
Douglas County 911.
Hi. I have a young lady at my house right now, and she says her name is Jamie Kloss.
Okay, what's your address?
It's in Gordon, Wisconsin.
Okay, have you seen her photo, ma'am?
Yes, it is her. I 100% think it is her.
Are you okay?
100%.
Does it look like she's going to run?
No, she's sitting down, she's relaxing.
Okay, hang on just a second. What's your name?
Yep.
What's your name, ma'am?
Kristen Kazinskis.
Okay, did she show up walking?
Yeah, a neighbor just walked up with her to our house and asked us to call 911.
Okay, hang on just a second.
Are you cold? Do you need a blanket or anything? Okay. Do you need anything to drink or water or anything? Okay.
Can you ask the neighbor, did the female just walk up to her house, or how did she come across her?
Hold on 1 second. She wants to know where she came from, how you got her, etc. Okay. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to pass you over to her.
Okay, hi. My name is Jeannie Nutter. We have a cabin up here in Gordon on Oak
Okay,
Hill
ma'am,
Road,
ma'am,
and I was
ma'am.
walking, yes,
Okay, can I just get your name?
Jeannie Nutter, N-U-T-T-E-R.
So how did she come up upon your cabin?
I was walking my dog, and we were almost home, and she was walking towards me crying, saying, "You got to help me, you got to help me."
Okay.
So I didn't want to go into my cabin because it's too close to Patterson's house.
And she said her name is Jamie Kloss?
Yep. And when I walked into this house, they recognized her immediately from posters.
Okay.
So Jamie, do you know when he's going to come back? She thought he was going to come back home at midnight. I have no idea.
Who's going to come back?
His name is Jake Patterson. Jake Thomas Patterson, she says.
Okay, hang on.
And apparently his house is 2 doors down from our cabin. Oh, Henry, get off the couch. I'm sorry, I'm here. You can just, why don't you hang on to him, Jamie? It would be good for you to pet a dog. So we're kind of scared because he might come.
Yep.
So if the cops could get here soon, we would like...
I have many deputies headed that way. I'm going to keep you on the line.
Okay.
And she said, I am Jamie Kloss.
Yes. She said, he killed my parents. I want to go home. Help me.
And what was the male's name?
Jake? Is it Jake? Jake Patterson? Jake Patterson.
And she said he killed her parents and she wants to go home?
Yes. She didn't know where she was. When I saw her, she was saying, where am I? Where am I? And I said, you're in Wisconsin.
And did she say he's gone right now?
Yes.
Are they at a cabin?
Well, I think it's, he lives there year-round.
And he's supposed to be back at midnight?
Yes.
Mr. Patterson, you are charged in count 1 with on or about October 15, 2018 in Barron County did cause the death of James M. Kloss with intent to kill that person contrary to Section 940.01 sub 1 sub A of the Wisconsin statutes, a Class A felony, carrying with it upon conviction shall be imprisoned for life. Count 2 charges on or about on the same date. You did cause the death of Denise J. Kloss with intent to kill that person, contrary to Section 940.01 sub 1 sub A of the Wisconsin statutes, a Class A felony, and upon conviction shall be imprisoned, sentenced to imprisonment for life. Count 3 charges you on the same date and place by force or threat of imminent force. You did carry JLC from one place to another without that person's consent and with intent to cause the victim to be secretly confined, contrary to Section 940.31 sub 1 sub A of the Wisconsin statutes, a Class C felony carrying with it a maximum penalty of up to a $100,000 fine and or 40 years imprisonment. And count 4 charges you with on or about the same date and place. You did intentionally enter a dwelling without the consent of the person in lawful possession of the place and with intent to commit a felony, to wit, kidnapping while armed with a dangerous weapon, a shotgun, contrary to Section 943.10 sub 2 sub A of the Wisconsin statutes, a Class E felony, carrying with it a maximum penalty of up to a $50,000 fine and up to 15 years imprisonment. Due to the charges here, I'm ordering a DNA sample to be collected, if not already collected, by law enforcement. Mr. Glynn or Mr. Jones, who's answering for defense today regarding preliminary examination?
I will, Your Honor.
Okay, and make sure you use the microphone because I have a digital reporter. Does he wish a preliminary examination?
Yes.
Okay, and is he willing to waive time limits today?
He is willing to waive time limits. We've reviewed that with him previously in person, and he will agree to that.
Okay. Mr. Patterson, are you willing to waive the time limits for a preliminary examination?
Yes, sir.
Did anyone make any threats or promises to get you to waive your right to a preliminary examination?
No.
Excuse me, your time for a preliminary examination, I'm sorry.
No.
And have you had enough time to discuss the waiver of time limits with your attorneys?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And Mr. Glynn, are you satisfied that his waiver is voluntary?
Yes.
I will so find. I've consulted with counsel earlier and found a date that works, February 6th at 11 a.m. Does that still work, Mr. Glynn?
Yes.
And for the state?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Wright, the state's recommendation regarding bail?
State is asking the court to set cash bail in the amount of $5 million. Mr. Patterson has no ties to Barron County. The allegations in the complaint are that he worked at Saputo Cheese Factory for 2 days. The only reason other than that for being in Barron County was to kidnap Jamie. State asks the court to look at the charges themselves. He's charged with 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide Maximum sentence on each of those counts, life imprisonment. The count of kidnapping, 40 years, and the count of armed burglary, 15 years. The state asks you to consider the efforts he took to conceal himself as alleged in the criminal complaint, the modifications that he made to his vehicle so that police wouldn't find him, including stealing license plates on the vehicle near Serona, putting him on his vehicle before he went to the Kloss residence so that if police did see him, they would not be able to trace his vehicle back to his plates. The fact that he disengaged his dome light to make sure that no one would be able to see him enter or exit his vehicle. The fact that he purchased a mask. The fact that he wiped down the shotgun that was located at his house and the shells that were used to kill James and Denise by his own words so that no DNA or fingerprints would be found. The fact that it is alleged he shaved his face, all of his head hair, and showered before leaving for the Kloss home so no DNA or fingerprints could be located. The fact that he turned his engine off, headlights off to conceal his arrival at the Kloss home. The fact that he had made a decision that he was going to shoot anyone inside that home, including children, because he could not leave behind any eyewitnesses. He indicated that if he had been stopped by police, it was likely he was going to shoot at police officers with the 3 shotgun shells that he had remaining. Kept the shotgun shell inside of his house for 2 weeks in case the police came. He remained in hiding after abducting Jamie for 88 days before he was apprehended. Your Honor, all of this indicates the defendant is a flight risk, a danger to the public, and he is unlikely to further return for further court proceedings without an exceedingly high cash bail. The state asks the court to consider Section 969.01 sub 4. Proper considerations for the court to consider in setting bail would include the number and gravity of the offenses, the potential penalty the defendant faces, and whether the alleged acts were violent in nature. All of these factors weigh in favor of the state's requested bail.
Who's arguing bail for the defense?
Your Honor, we would just ask for a lesser amount, make no further argument, and if we'll have any additional things to say about bail, we do it via motion.
The court has reviewed the criminal complaint, almost 12 pages in length. I've considered the allegations as set forth, the possible penalties, which include life imprisonment, and find that substantial cash bail is necessary to ensure the defendant's appearance in court. I will set bail at $5 million. You are charged in count 1 as follows: that on or about Monday, October 15, 2018, in Barron County, you did cause the death of James M. Kloss with intent to kill that person, contrary to Section 940.01 sub 1 sub A and 939.50 sub 3 sub A of the Wisconsin statutes, a Class A felony, and upon conviction shall be sentenced to imprisonment of life. How do you plead to that charge?
Guilty.
Count 2 charges as follows: on or about Monday, October 15, 2018, in Barron County, Wisconsin, you did cause the death of Denise J. Kloss with intent to kill that person, contrary to Section 940.01 sub 1 sub A and 939.50 sub 3 sub A of the Wisconsin statutes, a Class A felony, and upon conviction shall be sentenced to imprisonment for life. How do you plead to that charge?
Guilty.
And count 3. You are charged with on or about October 15, 2018, in Barron County, Wisconsin, by force or threat of imminent force did carry JLC from one place to another without that person's consent and with intent to cause the victim to be secretly confined, contrary to Section 940.31 sub 1 sub A and 939.50 sub 3 sub C of the Wisconsin statutes, a Class C felony, and upon conviction may be fined not more than $100,000 or imprisoned not more than 40 years or both. How do you plead to that charge?
Guilty.
Kidnapped a barren Wisconsin girl and killed her parents will spend the rest of his life in prison.
21-year-old Jake Patterson held 13-year-old Jamie Kloss captive for almost 3 months until she escaped. Patterson learned his fate this afternoon.
I would do like absolutely anything to take back what I did, you know. I would die. I would do absolutely anything to bring them back, you know. I don't care about me, I'm just so sorry. That's all.
With Jamie now bound and only feet away from her mother, the defendant grabbed the shotgun off the counter, pointed it at Denise's head, and at point-blank range, shot her in the head. The proximity of Jamie to her mother and the sound of that third shotgun blast in the small, confined bathroom, even more deafening than the first 2 blasts, would have jolted Jamie to the bone.
And because of this monster, Jamie won't have her mom and dad at her dance recitals, won't have her mom and dad at her prom, homecoming dance. My brother won't be able to walk down the aisle.
Heard from prosecutors and the brother in those clips. Nick, we also heard evidence that Patterson had been plotting this for some time.
Right. An investigator interviewed Patterson when he was in jail before the sentencing here, and the judge read some of that interview. The details were pretty disturbing. Patterson shook his head no for much of it.
Before I did this, I planned on taking multiple girls, killing multiple families. I wanted to treat them differently, play mind games with them. I also just wanted to scare people. I hated everyone, but no one in particular. You are the embodiment of evil, and the public can only be safe if you are incarcerated until you die.